He was born into Korea's modern industrial story, the youngest son of a man who turned a single truck into an empire. And yet Cho Jung-ho's path to power wasn't an automatic inheritance. It was instead a slow, deliberate forging of his own financial kingdom. From a childhood between Incheon and the United States to the boardrooms of Seoul, Cho carved out Meritz as a rival to Korea's entrenched financial houses, and in the process became a figure who now towers over the country's business elite. Cho Jung-ho arrived in the world on October 5, 1958, into the sprawling household of Cho Jung-ho, the founder of Hanjin. The youngest of several sons, he spent formative years abroad, including high school in the U.S., before returning to study economics at the University of Southern California and earn an MBA from IMD in Switzerland. That global schooling, combined with early corporate stints, gave Cho a different lens than some of his contemporaries, a mix of Western management thinking and Korean chaebol experience. His first steps into the family-controlled business universe were conventional enough. Roles at Korean Heir, part of the Hanjin constellation, and a move into Hanjin's finance arms, but his ambitions were not to remain just another family executive. In 1989, he became a director at Hanjin Investment and Securities. Over the next decade, he watched the shifting fortunes of the Hanjin conglomerate, the generational battle lines that often form in family empires, and ultimately chose to break a familiar mold. In 2005, Cho separated key financial units from Hanjin, rebranding them under the Meritz name and establishing Meritz Financial Group as an independent entity. That decision marked the birth of a company built around Cho's belief in professionalized management rather than hereditary control. If you're picturing a simple split, think again. Spinning off financial businesses from a towering family group is messy, political, and strategic all at once. Cho didn't walk away from a stake. He rewired a legacy. He pulled together Meritz Securities, Meritz Fire and Marine Insurance, formerly Dongyang Oriental, and other affiliates and set them on a new course. Where many heirs absorbed themselves into the broader family conglomerate, Cho instead accepted the harder route. He built a separate financial engine that could compete on performance, not pedigree. That independence would prove essential to both Meritz's identity and Cho's own narrative. What distinguishes Meritz under Cho's watch is a clear managerial thesis: hire professional talent, tie pay to performance, and push for shareholder value. Over the years, Meritz pivoted from being just another chaebol-affiliated financial unit to becoming a nimble financial holding company focused on securities, insurance, and asset management. Sectors where disciplined underwriting and capital management can rapidly compound returns. Cho emphasized merit-based promotion and performance incentives, a cultural shift that helped Meritz attract people who might otherwise choose global banks or more established domestic houses. That meritocratic approach, however, had its contradictions. In the early 2010s, Cho faced criticism over executive pay and dividend practices, headlines that accused him of excessive self-reward at a time when public anger at chaebol privileges was high. For a time, he stepped back from the front lines of daily management after scrutiny of a roughly $13.6 billion compensation and dividend package, a reminder that even a leader pushing meritocracy can get caught in old narratives about concentrated wealth and insider benefits. He did not vanish. Instead, Cho recalibrated, listened, and continued steering Meritz with a longer-term view. Those adjustments mattered. Meritz began to reward shareholders more directly, share buybacks, dividends, and clearer communication about capital allocation, and the market noticed. Over the last several years, Meritz's stock performance accelerated, driven by solid underwriting results in insurance, stronger securities revenues, and a disciplined approach to capital. The result was not merely corporate success, but an extraordinary revaluation of Cho's personal stock assets. As Meritz climbed, Cho's holdings followed, turning him into one of Korea's most significant stock-rich figures. March 2025 was a watershed. Bloomberg and other outlets tracked a dramatic shift. Cho Jung-ho, once comfortably in the upper ranks of Korean wealth, briefly overtook Samsung's Lee Jae-yong to become, by stock valuation, Korea's wealthiest stockholder. It was a symbolic moment more than a permanent realignment, a recognition that financial firms and the managers who control them can generate fortunes as vast as the manufacturing giants that long dominated Korea's rich lists. For Cho, it was vindication of the risky independent path he'd chosen decades earlier. But the story's texture is in the details: how Cho negotiated family history, market cycles, and the public's skeptical eye. He grew up in a family whose name was synonymous with logistics and aviation. His father had built Hanjin from the ground up. Yet instead of inheriting a single crown jewel, Cho built and polished several new ones. That required not only business acumen, but a willingness to accept the messy politics of Korean conglomerate life: sibling rivalries, shareholder activism, and the changing expectations of regulators and the public. Inside Meritz, Cho's strategy was simple in words and complex in execution. Concentrate on businesses where disciplined risk selection pays off, incentivize managers with clear metrics, and return excess capital to shareholders. Insurance especially became a strong engine: predictable premium flows, the power of actuarial discipline, and the ability to deploy capital across markets. Securities operations added upside in bull markets and provided a channel for fee income. The combined effect: a diversified, cash-generative financial holding that could grow book value steadily. Cho's public persona is intentionally restrained. He rarely courts the flamboyant CEO image, preferring measured statements and a boardroom focus. That calm exterior belies a competitive instinct. When Meritz underperformed, or when family dynamics threatened his ambitions, Cho acted decisively, sometimes controversially, to protect his vision. That mix of restraint and ruthlessness is a common theme among business leaders who rise from the second or third rung of established dynasties. They must both respect legacy and be willing to remake it. There are human elements here too. Cho's decision to tell the public he had no intention of passing the company directly to his children surprised some observers. In a corporate culture where familial succession is often taken for granted, that stance signaled a commitment to professional management over dynastic continuity. Whether one sees it as noble or pragmatic depends on your view of family-run conglomerates. But either way, it underscores Cho's central philosophy: institutions once matured should outlast and outperform any single family's lifespan. That philosophy, however, didn't grant him immunity from crisis. The compensation controversy, for example, reinforced a powerful truth in Korean business: visibility and scrutiny rise with success. When your firm grows quickly and your personal fortunes do too, the public interest intensifies. Cho's reaction: pause, recalibration, re-engagement, was both political and strategic. Acknowledge the concerns, refine governance, and return to doing the hard work of building shareholder value. Meritz's subsequent performance suggested the approach worked. Cho's ascent also reflects a larger shift in South Korea's economy. For decades, manufacturing and export giants, led by Samsung, Hyundai, and others, defined wealth and power. But in the 21st century, finance, private equity, and new forms of asset management have created alternate routes to massive capital accumulation. Cho's Meritz is part of that financialization story: a homegrown firm that turned underwriting discipline and market access into outsized returns for shareholders and its controlling owner. The implications are broad. When financial players become as powerful as industrial ones, policy debates shift, markets rethink concentration, and the public re-examines the social compact around wealth. Even as markets reward him, Cho's choices will continue to be watched closely. Korea's corporate governance landscape is evolving. Institutional investors press for transparency, regulators tighten oversight, and public sentiment pushes back against outsized compensation. For a leader whose identity is tied to both family roots and an aggressive push for merit-based management, the balancing act will be ongoing. Will Meritz become a model for disciplined, shareholder-friendly financial houses, or will it stumble under the same structural tensions that have tripped up other chaebol scions? The answer will shape not just Cho's legacy, but also how Korea thinks about concentrated wealth in finance. Beyond markets and money, there are quieter legacies. Cho's push to professionalize management within Meritz has ripple effects. It creates career paths for talented managers who might otherwise migrate overseas. It changes expectations inside Korean financial firms about compensation tied to performance, and it subtly nudges corporate culture toward clearer accountability. If, in a decade, Meritz is remembered as a company that normalized meritocracy in a traditionally family-dominated sector, that will be as consequential as any headline about net worth. Of course, legacy isn't only about internal reforms. It's also about how companies interact with the broader economy. Meritz's growth has implications for capital markets. A stronger domestic financial sector provides more liquidity, better risk transfer, and deeper expertise for Korean firms. That helps fund entrepreneurial ventures, supports pensions, and can stabilize markets during shocks. Cho's work in building Meritz therefore has macroeconomic echo. A single firm's rise can strengthen the ecosystem that supports many other businesses. Yet the narrative retains its paradoxes. A man who publicly disavows dynastic succession and champions professional managers is also one whose wealth is inseparable from family origins and the long shadow of Hanjin. He benefited from access, surname recognition, and early roles inside the family network, advantages ordinary entrepreneurs don't enjoy. His story, then, is neither pure self-made myth nor a simple handover of a family crown. It's a hybrid, an heir who reinvented the inheritance into a new, independent dominion. If you're trying to read Cho's playbook, two practical lessons stand out. First, carve out a clear identity for your business. Cho didn't try to build a mini Hanjin. He built Meritz with a financial-first thesis. Second, align incentives. When managers and shareholders see the same path to upside, when performance is rewarded and capital is returned sensibly, markets respond. Those are simple axioms, but executing them amid family politics, public scrutiny, and regulatory shifts is the art that distinguishes leaders like Cho. There are, of course, open questions. How will Meritz navigate the next downturn? Will governance improvements prove durable under succession or further concentration of share ownership? How will regulators and activists shape the environment for large financial conglomerates? Cho's answers, whether through board appointments, clearer succession plans, or public commitments, will determine if Meritz remains a long-term institution or a high-performing but personality-driven enterprise. So where does Cho Jung-ho sit in the broader pantheon of Korean business figures? He is a bridge between old-style chaebol authority and a newer, market-oriented financial leadership. He's also a reminder that wealth in the modern era can emerge from financial engineering and disciplined capital management as much as from factories and ships. In that sense, his rise captures an economy in transition and a personal story of reinvention. This is not the end of the story. Markets change, politics shift, and reputations can be remade in a single quarter. But for now, Cho Jung-ho stands as a portrait of strategic independence, a man who broke from a storied family empire, built a new financial house on meritocratic principles, weathered criticism, and watched his firm's success transform him into one of Korea's most consequential business leaders. Whether history will praise him for modernizing a sector or critique him for the inevitable excesses of concentrated wealth will depend on the choices he and Meritz make next, and on how Korea chooses to balance ambition with accountability.